Everyone believes wars are decided at the front line, the trenches, the tanks, the artillery duels. But what happens when the battlefield is no longer limited to the battlefield? When explosions begin appearing hundreds of kilometers away from the front? When military targets, industrial sites, logistics hubs, and strategic infrastructure inside Russia itself become part of the conflict? The nature of the war begins to change, and that raises a difficult question. Is Ukraine simply responding to Russia's attacks? Or is Kyiv trying to transform the war by bringing the costs of conflict directly into Russian territory? Recent Ukrainian strikes in Russian-controlled and Russian border regions have once again pushed this question into the spotlight. According to reports, Ukrainian attacks in the partly Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia region killed 11 people at holiday camps, while separate attacks in Russia's Belgorod region killed 2 people, and another strike targeted a Wildberries warehouse facility in the Urals. The events are controversial and politically explosive. Russia describes these attacks as deliberate strikes against civilians and civilian infrastructure. Ukraine has repeatedly argued that operations inside Russian territory are aimed at weakening Russia's military capabilities, disrupting logistics, and putting pressure on the Kremlin's ability to continue the war. But behind the headlines is a much larger strategic transformation. Because this is no longer only a war between 2 armies fighting along a front line. It is becoming a contest over distance, vulnerability, and the ability to make an opponent feel the consequences of a conflict far from the battlefield. To understand why these attacks matter, we first need to understand how the Russia-Ukraine war has evolved. When Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022, many analysts expected a traditional military campaign, large armored formations, air assaults, rapid territorial advances, but the war quickly became something different. Ukraine's initial defense of Kyiv prevented Russia from achieving its early objectives. The conflict then shifted into a grinding war of attrition concentrated in eastern and southern Ukraine. Regions like Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia became central battlegrounds. The Zaporizhzhia region, in particular, has remained strategically important because of its geographic position connecting southern Ukraine, Crimea, and Russia's land corridor toward occupied territories. In September 2022, Russia announced the annexation of Zaporizhzhia and 3 other Ukrainian regions, despite not fully controlling them. Ukraine and most international governments rejected those claims. The result was a complicated reality. Russia claimed sovereignty over territory it did not completely control. Ukraine continued operations to regain those areas, and civilians living in contested regions remained trapped between competing military objectives. The recent attacks highlight a key evolution. Ukraine has increasingly used long-range drones and precision weapons to strike targets beyond the immediate combat zone. The goal is not only destruction, it is disruption. Military planners call this attacking the enemy's depth. The idea is simple. An army depends on a network behind the front line. Fuel depots, factories, railways, warehouses, command centers, communication systems. If those systems are damaged, the frontline army becomes weaker. This strategy has historical precedent. During World War II, both sides understood that industrial capacity could determine victory. The battlefield was not only where soldiers fought, it was where weapons were produced, transported, and supplied. But here is where it gets interesting. Modern technology has made the concept of battlefield depth much larger. A drone costing thousands of dollars can potentially force an opponent to spend millions defending infrastructure across an enormous territory. And that creates a new strategic calculation. One of the biggest changes in this war has been the rise of unmanned systems. Drones have changed the economics of warfare. A traditional missile campaign requires expensive platforms, aircraft, ships, large logistics networks. But drones allow countries to attack at lower cost and higher frequency. What few people realize is that this creates a completely different kind of pressure. The question is no longer only, can you destroy your enemy's weapons? The question becomes, can you force your enemy to defend everything? A country like Russia has enormous geographic depth. From the western border regions near Ukraine to industrial centers deep inside the country, the distance is vast. Historically, that geographic scale provided strategic protection. The Soviet Union relied heavily on this advantage during World War II, where moving production facilities eastward helped preserve industrial capacity after the German invasion. But modern drones challenge that assumption. Distance is no longer the same shield it once was. The attacks in Belgorod are especially significant because the region has become one of the main areas where the war crosses the international border. Belgorod sits close to Ukraine's Kharkiv region. Since 2022, it has experienced repeated drone attacks and shelling. For Russia, this creates a difficult political problem. The Kremlin has presented the war as a campaign protecting Russian territory and security. But as attacks reach farther into Russia, the government faces pressure to demonstrate that it can protect its own population and infrastructure. This is the critical part. A war fought mostly outside your borders becomes politically different when the consequences begin appearing at home. However, there is another side to this debate. Critics argue that attacks inside Russia risk escalation. They warn that expanding the geographic scope of the conflict could create pressure for a stronger Russian response. This argument cannot simply be dismissed. History shows that wars can escalate through cycles of retaliation. One side increases pressure, the other side responds. The conflict expands. But there is also another perspective. Ukraine has argued that Russia has already been conducting long-range attacks against Ukrainian cities, energy systems, and infrastructure throughout the war. Russian missiles and drones have repeatedly targeted areas far from the front line. From Kiev to western Ukrainian cities, the entire country has experienced the effects of long-range warfare. From Ukraine's perspective, striking targets in Russia is not expanding the war. It is responding within the same strategic reality that Russia created. A second argument is that these attacks may have limited military value. Some analysts argue that destroying individual warehouses or industrial sites will not fundamentally change the balance of power, and there is some truth to that. A single strike rarely decides a major war. But wars are not only about individual attacks, they are about cumulative pressure. 1,000 small disruptions can create a larger strategic effect. The third argument is that attacks causing civilian casualties could damage international support for Ukraine. This is one of the most politically sensitive issues. In any conflict, civilian harm creates moral, legal, and diplomatic consequences. Ukraine, like every state involved in armed conflict, faces pressure to distinguish between military targets and civilian infrastructure. The international response often depends not only on what happens militarily, but how those actions are perceived globally. So, what does this mean for the future of the conflict? The real question is not simply, can Ukraine hit targets inside Russia? It already has demonstrated that it can. The deeper question is, can Ukraine change Russia's strategic calculations by making the war increasingly expensive to sustain? Because Russia's advantage has always depended partly on endurance. A larger population, a larger industrial base, a deeper resource pool. Ukraine's strategy has been different. Instead of matching Russia weapon for weapon, Ukraine has attempted to create asymmetric pressure using smaller systems, long-range drones, precision strikes, Western intelligence support. The objective is to challenge Russia's assumption that time automatically favors Moscow. This mirrors historical patterns from previous conflicts. During the 1973 oil crisis, energy was used as a strategic weapon because leaders understood that modern economies depend on vulnerable systems. In the same way, the Russia-Ukraine war demonstrates that modern militaries depend on vulnerable networks: energy, transportation, manufacturing, communication. The side that can disrupt those networks may gain leverage without winning every battlefield engagement. But there is another important factor. Russia is adapting. The Kremlin has invested heavily in air defenses, electronic warfare, and domestic security measures. The same way Ukraine has learned from Russian tactics, Russia has learned from Ukrainian operations. This creates an ongoing technological competition. Every new weapon creates a countermeasure. Every new tactic creates a new defense. The future direction of this conflict may depend on three major questions. First, can Ukraine continue conducting long-range strikes at a scale that creates meaningful strategic pressure? A few attacks can create headlines. A sustained campaign is much more difficult. It requires intelligence, production capacity, and reliable supply chains. Second, how will Russia respond? Moscow has repeatedly demonstrated a willingness to use missile strikes and drone attacks against Ukrainian infrastructure. A significant increase in Ukrainian strikes could lead to broader retaliation. The challenge for both sides is managing escalation while continuing military operations. Third, how will outside powers react? The United States and European allies have played a major role in Ukraine's ability to conduct modern warfare. Their support has included weapons, intelligence, training, and financial assistance. But every escalation raises political questions. How far should Ukraine be allowed to strike? Which targets are considered legitimate? And how can supporters maintain pressure on Russia without creating uncontrolled escalation? Because the conflict is no longer only about territory, it is about the future rules of modern warfare. Can a smaller country use technology to challenge a larger military power? Can drones overcome traditional advantages like geography and industrial capacity? And can long-range strikes change the political calculation of a government thousands of kilometers away? The war in Ukraine has already rewritten many assumptions about modern conflict. Tanks still matter. Artillery still matters. Soldiers still matter. But now another reality has emerged. A country's ability to protect itself may depend not only on what happens at the front, but on what happens hundreds of kilometers behind it. The real question we should be asking is this: if every military asset, every supply chain, and every industrial facility can become part of the battlefield, where does the battlefield actually end? Because in the next generation of warfare, distance may no longer provide safety, and that may be the most important lesson emerging from Ukraine's war. Subscribe to Cobalt for more analysis on how technology, strategy, and geopolitics are reshaping the future of conflict.